On paper, I guess you could say I've followed the right path. I went to university, got a corporate job as a lawyer, I own 2 properties, I recently got married, and as cringy as it is to say, I guess I have had a certain level of success. But here's the truth. I don't feel like I have life even remotely figured out. But the more people I've spoken to, even those decades older in very powerful positions, the more I've realized something that not many people really talk about, which is that nobody has it all figured out. And once you truly understand that, everything just starts to feel a little bit lighter and a little bit better. So if you've ever felt lost in life with your career, your purpose, your relationships, or whatever, stick around, because in this video, I will set out a 3-step plan to help you stop chasing the myth of having it all figured out and to start building something much better. So step 1 is to truly realize that nobody does have it all figured out. Because I think there is this myth in life that when you get to a certain age, everything should just start to make sense and you should just have it all figured out. I mean, I know I've definitely felt like that at certain points in my life. For instance, after university, when I was 21 and you're told you need to find a real job, and you definitely then suddenly get those feelings of like, what, I'm supposed to know exactly what career now that I want to do for the next 40 years of my life. And I remember finding that very daunting. And even kind of like right now, recently, I mean, I'm 33 years old and I just got married and hopefully might have my own family in the not too distant future. And I still sometimes get those feelings of like, shouldn't I have it all a lot more figured out than I do by now? But the reality, and what I have definitely come to realize, is truly that nobody has it all figured out. Nobody. Even those people that seem to have it all put together and have all the answers to everything and seem perfect in their life, they've probably actually just become a lot more comfortable with improvising and kind of figuring things out as they go. And I remember when I was like 16, looking at people who are my age now, who are 33, and thinking that, yeah, they really do have it all figured out and they do know what they're doing. But now I've reached that age and I don't have a fucking clue. So that is kind of very illuminating for me. And I'm sure it's exactly the same for people who are much older than me. They too are still just figuring things out. And of course you do gain some wisdom, knowledge and experience the older you get and the more that you do, and that is good to try and understand yourself better. But this whole thing about having this perfect thing all figured out, it truly is a myth. But honestly, I do think that this is really quite freeing. And so my first real bit of advice here is to just kind of chill out a little bit and lower the bar a bit for yourself and just not be so hard on yourself, because trust me, you are not broken in any way for not having the perfect plan all mapped out for the rest of your life. You are simply just human. Step 2 is to realize that life is not a game to complete. It's an experience to live. And what I mean here is that with life, there really is no defined place that we need to get to, or no defined timeline, or one way to do things. And instead, life really is full of ups and downs, challenges, experiences, and everything else. But what we should really try to do is to just embrace all of that and kind of embrace that whole chaos of life. And if you actually think about it, like if you did have things all figured out very early on in life, say when you're like 25 or something like that, what are you really actually going to do for the next 60 years of your life? I mean, it would probably be pretty boring and pretty repetitive and maybe even kind of depressing. And probably the reason why like a lot of young sports people who have success very early on often actually wind up in quite bad states when they get to the end of their sports careers. Because the real beauty of life is that it does evolve and we do change and grow as individuals. I mean, how can you really be expected to have it all figured out when what you loved 5 years ago might not fit you at all now? And you definitely are also allowed to outgrow your old dreams or change your opinions on things. And that doesn't mean that you're lost or you lack discipline or anything like that. It simply means that you are evolving as a person. So really do just try to focus on the journey instead of the destination of life, and realize that there definitely is no defined timeline or golden path that you need to follow, and how in reality, the real fun of life is gonna come from writing your own script and doing things your own way. Step 3 is to figure things out, but just a little bit, because from the first couple of points, hopefully you can see that nobody has it all figured out, and maybe we don't really ever need to have it all figured out. But there are some things that I think you can do and things that I think you should do to try to figure things out a little bit more for yourself as you do go through the years. And so there's a couple things that I think you can do here. And number one is to take action, because clarity is a result, not a requirement. And so when it does actually come to really understanding the things that you enjoy and what does make you tick, it's not going to come from just sitting on your ass all day. It's going to come from actually taking action and doing things. And it's kind of linked to the point around treating life like a journey, but it's almost to really just try to treat life like one big experiment. And so you really should try things and follow your curiosity. I mean, you should take that course that you've always wanted to do, or start that side project, say. And even for me, like this YouTube channel as an example, that really did just start as an experiment, and I was kind of just like, I'm just going to give it a go and see what happens. But from it, I have really come to understand that I do really like content creation and trying to deliver value for people, and I've definitely learned a lot in the process, and it's helped me grow as an individual. And so it's been a great experiment to actually run for myself. And so the thing is, when it comes to trying all these things and running these different experiments, is that none of these things have to be final in any way, or things that you're committed to for any sort of long-term period. But by trying all these different things, you are essentially just collecting data and gathering feedback, and from that it will help you to really understand what you do like more so and what you don't like, and from there you can then target more of those things that you do like. And so often you also hear people talking about really struggling to find what their passion is in life, and kind of being upset that they don't have any idea what that is. But the truth is that I don't think anybody just kind of discovers their passion out of thin air. I think it really is more people building upon these sort of iterative trial and error type processes, one step at a time. And through that, they start to understand more and more about what they do enjoy and what they're good at. And from there, those passions then start to develop. The second thing to do is to try to have self-awareness, because action without reflection is really just noise. So really start to try to pay attention to the things that energize you and the things that don't, and ask yourself those questions like, what do you enjoy, and what do you care about, and what people do you like spending time with, and what feels like play to you and work to other people, and so on. Because the truth is, the better you understand yourself, the less lost you should feel, because you will start to be able to make choices more confidently that actually align with you as a person. And that really will feel good and should bring more joy into your life. So no, you don't need to have it all figured out. Nobody does. There's no perfect path or magic formula. But if you stay curious, take action, reflect, and give yourself permission to not know yet, you'll be doing better than most. And whatever you're feeling right now, uncertainty, doubt, excitement, that's not a sign you're failing. That's the sign that you're alive. So keep going. You're doing better than you think. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.